So I was told by my mother last night that the father of my friend Mark Thompson died. Yeah, I think it was yesterday, so his name was Orville, and I wanted to tell you a few things that I remember about Orville. One of them is that I believe, where he was from in Idaho, he, having been born in the 1930s, probably was an actual real cowboy. Matter of fact, I do believe he did some ranch work. He was a truck driver. He did a whole bunch of other things. I remember that one time he worked at a place called Morrison Knutson, that they did paving, and there was a rival company called Elmore Paving that redid the roads in the trailer park where we worked. Where we lived. And I remember Mark and I hid behind some trash cans and were yelling, "Elmore Paving sucks, Morrison Knutson is better," or something like that. And I don't even know if the guys doing the work could hear us, because it's paving work and it's loud. But I remember a couple of things. I remember once Marla, who was Mark's mom, and Orville, they took us with them to a bar / dance hall in Mountain Home, and I God, I wish I could remember the name, but it was something just ridiculously appropriate, like the Tumbleweed or something like that. I just don't remember for sure, but what I remember is that Marla and Orville danced, and that was something my parents did not do. I had never seen someone's parents dance before. To be honest with you, I'm pretty sure that I'd never been in a bar before either, which sounds like a country song. I remember one night stayed at Mark's house and we were running around and we had our shirts off, and I remember Orville, for some reason or other, he said, "Come over here and let me rub your back," and he rubbed my bare back with his hands, and his hands were so rough and so calloused, it felt like sandpaper. Obviously the hands of a man who worked for a living. I remember once I went over to their house, and again they were doing something I'd never seen before, but they were grinding meat and making sausage. and I remember that it was like so exotic that they really were. They just did these different things that I had never seen before. I remember they had these 5 acres out on the edge of Mountain Home, and which they referred to as the 5 acres. And I don't know, Mark can correct me about this, but I remember there was a horse. It was a big white horse, and that they had out there. I don't know if it was theirs or they were boarding it or whatever, but what I remember is watching Orville handle this horse, and he was, really new to me. Looked like he really knew what he was doing and handled this horse extremely well. And I also remembered that, that he let us ride it, even though it was a pain for them, for him, because he had to change the stirrups and had to get us up on the horse and make sure that we were okay and all that sort of stuff like that. So I remember that, and then finally I remember when I graduated from high school, Mark and Orville drove all the way out there from Mountain Home all the way to Carlstead for my graduation, and they stayed 2 or 3 days, and I remember it was a nice time, and I remember anyway, it was nice. Orville was a good man, and best I can remember, and even though obviously I haven't had any contact with him for 40 years, I think about him more probably than one would think. Oh, there's one last thing I remember. Mark and Orville and I were going one day in Orville's pickup truck, and we were going towards Bruno, down that Bruno highway, and this semi passed us, which would probably tell you about how fast Orville drove. Anyway, this semi passed us, and when he got past us, Orville flashed his lights at him, and I'd never seen that done before. I didn't know that was a thing. And then what I remember is the truck then flashed back at him, like, you know, thanks for, you know, for telling me it's time to get back in. So now, to this day, I suppose 45 years later, I still do that for trucks. And when they do think to flash the lights back at me, I'm glad they appreciate it, and it makes me think. Makes me think of that day every time. So rest in peace, Orville. Thanks for watching.